The 33-hour mark transitions you. The 56-hour mark transforms you. In this episode, it's all about what your body is doing right now, not what you're trying to make it do. At this stage, fasting becomes less about discipline and much more about design. Your biology, your hormones, your cellular engines, they are all moving into coordination and a coordinated rhythm. We call this the adaptation zone. And that's what we're doing tonight in this episode as we do our check-in. Hey, I'm excited that you're here. Welcome to the show. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. I want you to have the success here in your health, just like you're having in other areas of your life, so you can show up for those important events, for those important people, family, friends, community, so that you can pour into and enjoy all those dreams that you've been saving for. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow. And you need the support and the encouragement and the drive to keep showing up every single time. Hey, if you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are excited that you are here, right? If you are joining us for the first time or the second time, or you're just a regular, go ahead and drop in the comments where you are and where you are in your fast this week. You can say, hey, we've got people from, of course, around the country, all around the country. We've got people from other countries. So just drop in where you are and where you are in your fasting. I know some people texted me earlier today to say they were actually ending their fast. So congratulations and kudos to you. A special shout out to our community members who are here, particularly those people who are in our community and in our group. Okay, so thank you for coming through as well. And a special shout out to our folks from Berean, which is in Atlanta, Berean. Thank you for coming through. We've had some messages from you as you have joined us this week. So thank you for being here. We've got some good things that we're going to take a look at. So I've got my monitors off to the side. Let me go. So physically, and this is, of course, part of what happens as we go through our fast, right? So the fasting doesn't know that you have a cold, or the fasting doesn't know that you are whatever's happening. But right now, I'm actually feeling pretty good. If you've been following us over the last several days, you've heard me talk about being more tired physically because I felt this cold coming on. My voice has changed in my office today. My team was telling me, go home, go home, go home. Of course, I didn't go home, right? So I need to listen to them. But physically, actually feeling pretty good. But I know just like my voice, that is an issue. And of course, I am feeling a little slower than I normally do, okay? Because of all of this, feeling stuffy headed and so forth. So that's physically. And then mentally, I am feeling clear. I came home this evening. I was a little tired, so I actually laid down right here, believe it or not, and slept. And my alarm was going off. Hey, you got to get ready for the show. But so feeling mentally clear, and particularly since I did take that nap right before this. And then emotionally, emotions all are tied into what we do physically, and then of course what we do in terms of our thought process. And I've been excited this week because we are in a space of integration, and we've laid a lot of the foundation for the Blueprint series, and so I've been excited to get into this phase of it as we talk about alignment. So that's been fun. That's been fun for me, and so as a result, I am feeling physically or emotionally, I'm feeling excited about where we are. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and actually let me do one thing here really quickly. Okay, there we are. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my numbers. And this, of course, what you're looking at right now, this is my Freestyle Libre, and it says that my blood sugar is 66 right there. And then if we scroll down a little further right in here in this area, you'll see that that is my graph for my blood sugar. And so if I put my finger over that, let's go ahead and do that really quickly. We can see what the numbers are. And so starting there with 82, 80, 80s, it was kind of hung out in the 80s. And when you look at this graph, you'll see that the white part is actually, those are numbers that are above above 70. And then when we get to the red part, you'll see that those are numbers that are below 70. So we've been in the 70s, 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 and then started kind of coming back down here in the 60s, 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 and out to where we are right now. Looking at some of my reports, let's take a look at this one, time and range, and we're looking at this number, these numbers that will show up. So over the last 7 days, 92% in target with 8% down there, and that says that I'm low, and that typically happens when I am fasting, right? So as you know, the numbers kind of go down. So 92 plus 8 gives us 100, and if I jump to the 90 day average, which we love to look at because that's what gives us the A1C, right? So our A1C is based on the 90-day average. So 86% of the time we're in target, and then 13% we're low, and then 1% very low. And so that gives us 100. Getting out of this report and looking at our average, and we're looking now, here's a number that will show up right in this line. So my average of the last 7 days is 89. And then my average over the last 90 days is 90. And then down here, it breaks it out according to my the different times of the day. And I love this because I can then make choices about what I do based on what's going on with blood sugars. Okay? All right. And then get out of this, go back to our main screen, and then let's look at our Dexcom. And so here's my Dexcom G7. It says that my sensor is going to expire in 24 hours, but that's okay. So my blood sugar right now is 89. And similarly as we did before, I can put my finger along this and I can scroll through and you'll see what the numbers have been. So 80s, 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 dipping into the 70s a couple of times, but for the most part staying in the 80s. And then of course where we are. And then here is my summary. And I love this graph because this gives me really what I would expect. I can use this to determine what I should get in terms of my A1C and what my numbers would be there. And you see there for the 14-day, my average is 110 with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. If I go to the 90-day, once again, because that is what we're expecting to be a representation of my A1C, or my A1C should be correlated with this. 114 is my average, and 6.0 is my glucose management indicator. So as I mentioned in one of our shows recently, I'll be getting labs again over the course of the next week or so. So then we'll come on and we will talk about what those numbers look like. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we're going to change back to this one. And we're going to take a look at what's going on in terms of my monitors. So I've got my Keto Mojo and my Contour right here. And let's actually go to this view. And then we're going to get my little container out. And I need a strip for the Contour. So we'll grab that out of here. Get that back. We're going to put this one in. And then I need a blue and a brown. One blue is for ketones, and brown, of course, as you remember, is for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And then I'll need a Lancet. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to open this up. Let's move this over a little bit. All right, about there. Open this up. So this is my strip for blood sugar. Get that into that machine. And I'm going to open this one so I can just have it off to the side. Oh, let's try this side. Okay, so that worked well. And I'm just going to put this off to the side so that we can come back to it here in just a minute. opening up my lancet and then finding a finger. And we've been picking on the same finger, so we're not going to stop now. We're going to just get a poke right here. And not a brisk drop, but enough to get us started. And then I'll need another drop for the contour, so I'm just going to milk that a little bit. And let's see. Okay, so hopefully that worked. It's not a okay, there we go. So 76 is what this says, 75 for the contour. And then let's go back and let's take a look at the Dexcom. Dexcom says 93. And of course, you remember that the Libre says it was 63. So right now, they're all kind of off, starting in the 60s, then 70s, and then, what was that? And then 93. So what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So let's go ahead and get this one off the screen. Get this up, and let's go ahead and get this strip in. And while that's there, I'm going to pull up my Keto Mojo and get a strip there. Okay. So go ahead, and I see people already starting to put in the comments what they think my ketones are going to be. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And so ketones are 0.7. Now, if you remember, that is actually what the ketones were last time, right? So we were 69 with ketones of 0.7. And tonight, let's go ahead and see if we can get that synced up. And so ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above that considered therapeutic ketosis. And so right now we are in the therapeutic range, and we're looking at these numbers right here. Let's do this one. So we're looking at these numbers right here. So that big number in the circle is what's called my glucose ketone index. It's a ratio of glucose to ketones. And you see my glucose right now is 76 with ketones of 0.7. So we're in the ketosis range. We're in the nutritional ketosis range, and we'll look to see what that turns out to be as we move through the rest of the week. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's do, let's say hello to some of our community members. And once again, welcome to our Accelerator members who are out there. Thank you guys for coming through and for hanging out with us. Let's get over here. And I think I see Gian out there. So Gian saying, hi, Dr. LLG. Yeah, so hi, Dr. LLG. Doctor, how are you feeling today? I hope you're better from the cold. And Gian, as you hear, I am still in the throes of that. Says your voice is not good today. I hope you get some rest. Yep. Gian is from South Korea. It's 12 on Friday. And she was guessing 1.3. Turns out that we were 0.7 in that. And then she said, what makes you get a cold? What do you think this reason for your cold? Well, there's a virus. Okay, so viruses are what cause colds during this season. As we're getting. Oh, you weren't seeing those. Let me go back. Okay, so here we are. I was reading those, but you weren't seeing them. So she says, we need this curative. Oops, let's go back here. You get here. Oh yeah. So what makes you get a cold? And the cold is due to a virus. Okay, so remember that most colds are due to viruses. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and play our move promo, and then we'll be right back with our teaching. Here we go. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body,
moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started.
So we are here at our 56-hour check-in. And now it's all about what your body is doing right now, not what you're trying to do. As we mentioned before, at this stage, fasting has become less about discipline and much more about design. Your biology, your hormones, your cellular engines, they're all moving into a coordinated rhythm. And this is what we call the adaptation zone, y'all. Adaptation zone. And the adaptation zone is that place where stress becomes strategy, right? So we're talking about healing through alignment. And at 56 hours, and let me back up here. So this is kind of the idea, right? At 56 hours, the body isn't guessing anymore. It isn't negotiating. It isn't resisting. It's aligned. It's in alignment. And this is the stage where your internal systems stop fighting the fast and they begin working with it. And that alignment is what makes fasting sustainable. Healing happens, and of course, it becomes very predictable. And so that's the adaptation zone, where stress becomes strategy. So what makes the adaptation zone unique? That's a question. In the early hours of fasting, stress feels like pressure. In the adaptation zone, stress becomes instruction. Your body is no longer reacting, it is reorganizing. So everything is beginning to align, it is beginning to work together, it's integrated, right? So that was a concept that we were working on this week. So here are the key principles. Stress that is structured becomes strategy. And remember, the body actually does have some stress when you first start the fasting process. And so if we're not careful, we begin to feel that and we think that there is something wrong. This is actually this is something that's actually going on, and it is normal. It's no longer reacting, it's reorganizing this stuff. And what we're seeing is that rhythm, when we are in rhythm, when we are working rhythm, when we have been strategic and intentional in our structure, it really does matter. And so this is why your rhythm matters. This is why your environment matters. This is why your consistency matters, because consistency turns that metabolic stress into a metabolic plan. So when your body knows what's going to happen, okay, we're fasting on X day, we're fasting for this long, and it begins to work, and so it's able to easily transition into the form or the pattern that you have been creating. Okay, that's the idea of metabolic flexibility. Remember, we've talked about that before. And so structure protects what the motivation started. So the protection phase, right, at 56 hours, your body is now aligned and ready to do for you what you've been asking it to do. The results no longer depend on motivation. Because remember, when you started the fast, whatever fast you're doing, but particularly here as we get into the 56 hour, you're gung ho. Let's do it. Yeah? And so motivation was there. And then the motivation transitioned, right? The transition zone, we talked about in our last episode, transitioned to what's going on in terms of metabolism. Your biology is running a scripted sequence. This happens at this time, and you know that at 20, we got the the postprandial period where we've just finished eating, and then we've got the early fasting phase and all the things that are changing. Their glycogen's going down, hormones are changing, and then we get into the more structured later fasting. And so there's a sequence that happens, and the sequence is followed every single time. Its structure is what protects that sequence. This is why every week, no matter how you start, by the time you reach this point, the body clicks into a predictable therapeutic pattern. So structure stabilizes the science. So then from transition to adaptation, what is shifting right now as we go since we've had the 33 hours? At 33 hours, your body was crossing the threshold, switching from glucose dependence to fat-derived fuel, right? Those are the ketones. But at 56 hours, you're no longer transitioning. You're adapting. You've already gone through the process. The fuel source is stable. Hunger signals are reorganized. Inflammation is being addressed at the cellular level. Hormones are beginning to synchronize. When we talk about integration, this is the deep work that's happening. It's the quieter work. It's the most, I wouldn't say most important, but this is more than most people begin to realize, because they never get to this point in their fast. And then one of the most important things that happens is autophagy, the body's internal renovation crew. So autophagy is no longer just active, it is targeted. So as your body gets to this phase, cellular repair begins happening, right? Old proteins, damaged organelles, misfolded, misshapen, unused structure, these are being identified as needing to be recycled. So think of this kind of like as housekeeping, right? So housekeeping meeting with the architecture or the architect. Your body isn't just cleaning, it is redesigning. It's taking those things, taking them off, breaking them down, making them more efficient, sending them back to you. And one of the most important parts of that is this idea of energy. So mitochondria are the batteries, if you will, in the body. This is where ultimately we get our food converted into what's called ATP, and ATP is the final currency in the body. So these mitochondria begin to get upgraded. So your body is taking them and is recycling them. So at this stage, your mitochondria, your energy factories, if you will, they begin to multiply. So during fasting, during this autophagy process, your body is taking those old ones, sending them off, recycling them. And when we fast, it actually increases our energy so that we get more mitochondria, more efficient mitochondria. They become denser. Energy stabilizes. The brain fog lifts. Emotional steadiness increases, and physical stamina improves. Your body is literally upgrading the equipment. Oh, yeah. You like that? So our equipment is getting upgraded. It's like going out and buying a new battery, a new flashlight, a new whatever it is that you need. The body is working through that process, and that process becomes intensified during autophagy. Right? So I love this, and this is one of the reasons why we do some of the extended fasts. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone in the office yesterday, and we were talking about the length of the fast and pointing out, and he was saying, yeah, I want to do a longer fast because I'm looking for autophagy. I'm looking for some other processes to begin happening in my body. Okay, so autophagy, the biosynthesis, the mitochondrial biosynthesis, the increase in energy that we get during the process. And then we also have at this stage, so a hormonal harmony, right? So the endocrine system is coming into sync. Hormones are chemical messengers, but by 56 hours, they become a choir, right? So a lot of them, they're now in rhythm. The insulin is no longer fighting ghrelin, which is no longer fighting leptin, which is no longer fighting cortisol, right? Insulin is low at this point, and it's stable. Cortisol is flattening. So remember, cortisol is the stress hormone. Growth hormone is elevated because remember, growth hormone is what we look for the improvement and the maintenance of muscle. You get better recovery, you get better healing, you get maintenance of the muscle. One of the things people are concerned about when they're fasting is, I'm going to lose muscle mass. Well, when we're fasting, the growth hormone goes up, and growth hormone is one of the hormones responsible for the muscle mass, right? Adiponectin is rising. Leptin and ghrelin are recalibrating. So remember, ghrelin is the hunger hormone and leptin is the satiety hormone. So during fasting, because the insulin is becoming regulated, insulin is going down because your glucose is also stabilizing, it doesn't spike up. And when it doesn't spike up, it doesn't interfere with ghrelin and leptin. So the endocrine system is not reacting anymore, right? At this point, it is orchestrating. It is saying, hey, I know what I'm doing. And before, I had all these other things that I needed to do. So I was not paying attention to building and coordinating. I was just taking care of putting out fires throughout the body. But now that you're giving rest, now that you're not putting anything in, now that we've given the body a chance to kind of relax, now the body begins to say, okay, what do I need to do to repair? And that brings us to immunity, right? The immune reset. This is rebuilding your cellular resilience. And resilience is that process of being able to bounce back, okay? And so the immune system is remodeled. This is one of the most important and misunderstood benefits of fasting. Your immune system is not being suppressed during fasting. It is actually being restructured. Old immune cells remember the cleanup process, are cleared. Stem cells begin preparing replacements. Inflammation, those markers begin to go down. Surveillance efficiency, that is the body kind of looking around to see what's there that we need to address, that begins to improve. And you are not just fasting, you are repairing, you're repairing the foundation of resilience. You're getting the body ready. And one of the things, I guess here's a good point to make, you've probably heard me say before that fasting is the reset for the body. So think about building a house. You buy a building, or I shouldn't say house, just so you buy a building, and it's an old building, right? Lots of damage in there. So you go in and you gut it, and you take out old cabinets, you take out bad carpet, you break some walls down, and you begin rebuilding it. And so fasting resets the system. It is gutting. It is taking out all the old damaged things and getting us ready for what's going to happen as we begin. Now we're putting up better support beams, right? We're putting up some load-bearing walls. We've moved some walls around. And so that's what fasting did. It's preparing us to have this improved structure that we need in the body. And the structure that we're doing, the structure protects the science. Now, the science is already there. The body is already primed. The body is already ready to do what it needs for our health. Another great point to be made right here. So often we think that the body's actually fighting us. It's like, well, I don't know what my body's doing. Well, the body's always in the business of keeping you alive, keeping you around, keeping you healthy. But sometimes it can't do that because of the environment. And when I say environment, the internal and sometimes external environment that we're in. So it is trying to do its best to keep us healthy, but because we're consistently not providing the right resources, we're not resting, we're not managing lifestyle, right? So the body has a problem. But the science says that the body is already ready to do the things we need for health. And when we're consistent, when we're fasting, what we're doing, that structure that we put in place, that protects the science. It gives the body space. It holds space for the body to come in now and just do what it needs to do. And the consistency that with which we do that, it creates a safety environment for change. Why does this work every week? So no matter what your week looked like, no matter how you start or you felt, no matter the stress, the cravings, or the early hunger, by 56 hours, when you get to this point, your body finds safety through structure. Consistency creates the sense that, hey, I'm in a safe place. And when the body feels safe, then it is able to now divert the attention from what it was doing before, and now it can concentrate on being healed. I want you to follow that sequence. It is the environment that we create, it is the structure that we provide for the body that then allows it to say, okay, I'm not stressed anymore. Now I can go and do some of the things that that I want to do that I couldn't do before. Okay, so that's what we're doing by providing structure. We're protecting the science that's already built in. And so, how do we support the shift that's happening in the body? So, just like we can derail the body, we can do things that allows our body to get into a position where it now feels comfortable doing for us what we want it to do. This is an idea, and we've been talking about the integration blueprint, right? Now that you're in adaptation, this is this zone. The goal is simple. Don't interrupt the repair process. As a matter of fact, not just don't interrupt it, let's do some things that supports the shift that's already going. And of the things that you can do, and we're going to give you, I was going to give you 3, but we're going to give you 4. Right? Number 1 is to stay hydrated. It's a big one. It's one that we often overlook because, oh yeah, drinking and staying hydrated. Yeah, I'll do that. Well, think about this. Your body is breaking down old, unused, misshapen, damaged cells. Well, how does it get those components to where it needs to go in terms of recycling? Well, it has to travel through the blood. And when you're hydrated, you're assisting that process. Your body is sometimes kicked into overgear. People say, oh, my metabolism slows down. No, actually in fasting, your metabolism speeds up. And how do we get all of those hormonal regulations that are going on? How do we get those signals? Well, that's going through the blood. So when we stay hydrated, we're actually supporting what the body wants to do in terms of providing the appropriate vehicle or enough of the vehicle to transform or transport the things that we need in the body. So number 1, stay hydrated. Number 2, you want to minimize your stress during fasting. I'm pausing because I want you to hear this. So stress causes high cortisol. Cortisol causes higher sugars. Higher sugars causes insulin to come out, and when insulin comes out, insulin derails the whole process. Because remember, insulin says, hey, we're going to start storing again. We're not going into beta oxidation. We're not breaking down fat. We're not providing ketones. So during the fast, you want as much as possible to minimize the stressful situations you find yourselves in. So this is not the time to, I'm trying to think of some, so whatever stresses in your life. Let me say this. Let me say that. So you want to be able to minimize those so that we don't get those spikes in hormones. And then number 3, honor your rhythm. What does that mean? That means that you have a rhythm that you've put in place. Don't do it one way this week, another way the next week, and another week the third. So your body, it becomes It becomes very sporadic. But if you are doing it regularly all the time, you get used to it. Your brain gets used to it. Your body gets used to it, and is able to switch into that. The flexibility improves. Okay, so I said I was going to give you three. Those are the three. But of the things you can do that additionally support your fasting, one of the most important is rest. Because it is during rest that the body becomes rejuvenated. It is during rest that the body incorporates a lot of the thoughts and things that are going on. It is during rest that the body, some of the hormones in the body become regulated as well. So imagine this, on a regular basis, when we're not fasting, the body uses rest as a way to coordinate hormones. And now, if we add to that fasting, imagine what's going on in terms of our hormones, in terms of the body's ability to reset. So these aren't mindset steps. They are biological protections. So what are we doing? We're supporting the shift that's going on in the body. And then we want to protect the process, right? And here are some common things that you will see that people do that can derail the process. Let's walk through those again. So across the country, so thousands of people break their fast around this point. Not because they're hungry, but because they are underestimating the power of fatigue, of boredom, of emotional cues. So you're not fighting biology here. What you're doing is you're navigating behavior, and we want to protect the process. So what are you going to do as you're walking through the space? One is to understand your triggers. Understand what are the things that push your buttons, that have a tendency to pull you off course. Because often it is not a physiologic thing that's going on. It's a lot of times it's here. It's an emotional thing. It's a pattern thing. This is what we used to do. And so those cues get to us and we get pulled off course, not because the biology is telling us that, but we're just so used to it. And so when we're not careful, we will find ourselves here falling into the trap of breaking the fast because we're not aware of our cues, because we're not resting, and because we are not dealing with some of those emotional cues. Now, let's pause there for a minute. The limitless living method says that we're not allowing anything from outside or inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do, which means that if there are emotional things that we have to learn, different ways of dealing with emotions, different ways of dealing with stress, that is part of the process of being healed, part of the process of getting our health better. So it's not, okay, I'm going to work on my health and then I'm going to deal with my emotional structures. No, it is integrated. And that's the idea behind integration, that everything touches everything else. Right? So you're not fighting the biology, you're navigating, and you want to make sure that you are protecting it at all costs. So what's your one domino? What's your one domino? And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, one decision tonight, today, tomorrow, during the fast, can carry more influence than 10 decisions over another few days. So one decision right now, tonight. One decision as you're watching this show. One decision as you get to the fast. One decision as you are approaching the 56 hour. One decision you make here can have profound effects down the road. So which is why hydration is very important, because hydration is a simple stabilizing action. It's a simple thing. It's easily accessible. It's quiet. It's not big and grandiose. Making sure that you have enough electrolytes. Making sure that you are pausing as you go through the day so that you can decompress from the emotional, environmental stresses and anxieties that come, and then making sure that you get to bed on time, making sure that you are resting, and then making sure that you are getting some light movement, moving the body. The pairing of fasting with movement is incredible, particularly walking, right? As we walk through our health action plan, the first tier of that, fasting and walking. So small actions anchor the big biology. And so we want to make sure that we are aware of those dominoes. The first domino, what's the first domino that falls? Maybe we get tired, we don't do enough rest, we don't hydrate, we don't take care of our electrolytes, we don't deal with that emotional issue, we don't take our quiet time. And that one domino begins affecting all the others. And then structure becomes self-regulation. When the rhythm becomes trust. When your body has enough rhythm, it begins trusting the pattern. Oh, body's like, okay, I'm good now. I thought this is a stress. I thought that we were going into a starvation mode, but no, this is just what we do on a regular basis. And that metabolic flexibility happens. So when your body has enough rhythm, it trusts the pattern. And when your body trusts the pattern, self-regulation begins. And it can now turn to healing. That's one of the beauties, that's one of the benefits of where we find ourselves. We want to make sure that we are putting those structures into place, because those structures are what are going to help us. And then what are some key takeaways that I want you to get? Here it is. Ready? Number one, when we are in this space, then our repair replaces reaction. Our body is no longer reacting. It understands now that this is a part of the process. This is the structure that we go through. And because this is the structure, because I trust the system, because this is what we do once a week, because this is what we do, I can turn my attentions to doing other things, repair. Number two, structure stabilizes the science. When we talked about protecting the science, the body's already built to get better. All we have to do is hold space for it. Meaning all we have to do is provide the right environment. And when we do that, then the science is already geared up to do what it's supposed to do. And then adaptation builds metabolic trust. During this process, as the body is now getting the handoff from our metabolism. So remember, motivation hands off to transition. Transition now says, okay, adaptation, I need you to go do the stuff that you need to do now. And that trust is what we need, metabolic trust. This is the blueprint your biology is building right now. People don't have difficulty with their health because they don't have a desire, because they don't have motivation. They have difficulty because they don't have the structure. And that's what we're building. And the limitless living method says, right, that you are not forcing your health. You're designing it. 56 hours is not about strength. It's not about alignment. You showed up. Your body responded. And the structure you created is now protecting the science that is healing you. We design the life. We build the health. We live limitless. And you heard me say earlier that it says that we're not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans. And when we do that, then we are in the space of maintaining and becoming healthier than we currently are. You're not broken. You're not damaged. It is that we've got to provide the correct structure so that the body can do what it needs to do. And so it can do what it wants to do. So it can do what it's designed to do. And so at 56 hours, we are able to do that. We see all these processes working together. And as we move through our health walk, as we move through the journey, we continue to fast, because fasting is an amazing way of righting that metabolism that's become dysfunctional. Join us next time as we continue our trek, as we continue our discussion about what we do and how we do it to maintain good health. All right, y'all. So 56 hours. This is actually one of the most important points in our fast. It is, like I said, we've gotten through motivation, because motivation comes and it goes. And we've gotten through that initial transition of energy from carbohydrates into ketones. Those early things that are going on, yeah, we're through that. And now the body says, okay, now let me go do the things that they want me to do in terms of being healthy. And when you are making sure that you're protecting those systems, then you have a better chance of being successful, and you begin to see the benefits of being in the fasting zone. As we go through the rest of this week, of course, we've got our full show tomorrow where we'll talk about preparing for the fast, getting through the fast successfully, and breaking the fast. But I want to remind you that everything that we do here is built to help you succeed in your health. It is not designed so that you show up and you can plug into the various things that we do. Right, so health action plan, we are providing here the pathway for that. So if you're new to the channel, if you've been here actually even, and you need to refresh, the Start Here playlist is this amazing place for you to jump in and say, okay, let me rehearse, let me go through the process again. We are not waiting until the new year starts. We're not waiting to a new year resolution. We're putting the structure in place so that we are ready to hit the ground running. As we move through the Blueprint series, that's the idea there. And whenever you're watching this, by the way, right, so you're not behind, or you've not lost anything because maybe you're watching this for the first time and it's, I don't know, June. Maybe it's December, maybe it's January, maybe it's February. Whatever the time is, if you're watching the replay, you've not lost. And if you are joining us live or in real time or close to real time, the Blueprint series is there. The fasting is there. On a weekly basis, we go through. We want you to come in and join us as we are walking through this. This is designed to be a community of supporters, and a community that helps you to build a platform in your life so that you can do this over the long haul. And that's why everything that we do is built on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcast. They are designed to change our thought process, to give us a different aspect, a different idea, a different perspective, if you will, of our health. I can't tell you the number of conversations I have where simple concepts within health has been distorted because of the way we teach things. And when people don't understand, put my hand up also, when people don't really understand how things work, then the decisions they make are based on misconceptions. So our goal, first of all, we educate, is to help you get the information, the correct information about how the body works and what the body's designed for. So that's why I keep saying that the body is built to be healthy. It wants to be healthy. Its goal is to be healthy. And so understanding that as a fundamental concept is important. Because you're not fighting the body. The body's not fighting you. It's doing what it needs to do to keep you alive. Even those times when you see something going on in the body and you're like, oh my goodness, what's my body doing? Well, the reason the body got to that point is that it was trying to create an environment that was sustainable for your longevity. So we educate. We empower with the tools that we provide here, the tools that we learn, whether it's the COPE model or the HEAT model or the IDL that we've been talking about recently as we move through the Blueprint series. That's the inner design loop, right? So all of those are tools that allow you to put into practice the things that we've just learned. The health action plan. And notice what the health action plan is called. It's health action plan because the action comes from you and the tools, it gains power when you infuse it with your behavior. Otherwise, it's just some theory that you heard. And we don't want you to just have theory. We want you to have some practical ways of putting into place the things that we are talking about. So those are the tools. And then we encourage, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And we encourage with the community that you're part of, the community that you're building. When you come, when you're here, when you comment, when you share, what you're doing is you're helping to build the community. And we don't just want to hear about your successes. Now, we want to hear about your successes, whether it's losing weight, whether it's having better blood sugar, A1C is down, I'm off of medication, my blood pressure is better, my weight is gone down. All of we want to hear those successes. Because when people hear that, they say, well, if they can do it, if Dr. Woode can do it, if that community member can do it, then I can do it as well. It provides proof. So we want to hear about your successes. But we also want to hear about those places where you may have some challenges. Yeah? Because we're not all about the social media bling. We want to know for real. On Monday morning, when the rubber hits the road, what is it like then? How do I put these things into practice then? That's why we come on as we go through the week. When I'm traveling, you hear me do a pop-up. When we're getting ready to go on vacation, when there's a holiday, you hear me come and we talk about, practically speaking, what that's going to be like. Because the theory is great. But what's it like on the real? So we want to hear about the successes, but we also want to hear about those places where you're having challenges. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And so if you're interested in knowing what's going on this week, in addition to that Start Here playlist, you want to get on the channel and you're going to look at the this week's videos. And the this week's videos are designed so that you see the things that are happening in the community right now in real time. Now, if you're looking at this later on and you're trying to find this week's videos, it won't be this week's videos, it'll be that week's videos. But those two are the ones that are on the channel, the Start Here playlist and this week's videos, and they're designed to allow you to pop in and to see what's going on so you can begin walking through the path, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let's say hello to some of our community members, and let's get back over here. So that was a question that Gian asked, and then we see, I believe this is Steve. Steve is saying, hello, Gian. Hey, Steve, thank you for coming through. And so we have some amazing community members that have actually had some great benefits in their personal journey, and both Gian and Steve that you see commenting right there, they've had some amazing stories as well. And as we are in the community and as we're discussing it, we're talking, those encourage us. I get encouragement from them as well. Okay? All right. So that's our 56-hour check-in. And we will continue the course of this week. Remember, every week we do our fast. We've got our pop-ups that show up. We've got our check-ins that we do in the evening. And then tomorrow, we will have our complete review of fasting, where we talk about how to prepare the fast, how to get through the fast successfully, and then how to break or end the fast. And you get to see what I eat for the very first time in 72 hours. Give me just a second. Yeah, you get to see what I eat for the very first time in 72 hours. So we want you to come on back and join us as we move through that process. We will have, of course, our check-in tomorrow. We'll have video from the vault on Saturday night at 9 p.m. We'll have our This Week in Review Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Central. And then we'll be right back here on Monday as we move through our space, our Blueprint series for Dwain Woode MD Live. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, y'all. Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. We are living limitless lives. You don't need a superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow, and you need the support and determination to show up every single time. Let's go ahead and listen to this Move promo, and then we're out here. Good night, everybody.
Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started.